BMW Motorrad Highlands and Islands Scotland Tour 2022. Here it is. The long awaited. I'm sure you've all been waiting for this. You've all sit back, get your popcorn, get a crate of beer. It's going to be a roller coaster.
Or as you would say, sit back, relax and enjoy the ride.
Yeah. This is our end of season roundup post tour. First of all, we want to say a huge thanks to BMW Motorrad Tours. They were exemplary, should I say, from the get-go. From when we booked it to when they needed to get postponed because of COVID, there's restrictions on going into Scotland. Cannot fault Chris and Claire at Motorrad Tours. They were keeping us on top of everything and very flexible and amenable to a lot of changes.
We were quite not nervous about doing it, but we're a bit wary because obviously we hadn't done an organised tour before and we kind of didn't know what the format was or anything, and obviously because we both have BMWs we just thought we'd try a Motorrad tour, and we're really glad we did. So we kind of thought, well, what's there to lose? Not a lot really.
Couple of grand. But we still get to go and do Scotland.
Yeah, but that included obviously the hotels and everything else, and some of the evening meals were included. Obviously every breakfast was included, so it was only like coffee stops and lunches and then a couple of the evening meals that we actually were on top.
Yeah.
So it was very inclusive, very good.
Some particular special thanks. I know that you want to do a special thanks to a certain lady.
Yeah, Katrina, she was amazing. Obviously, I know Motorrad are very particular about their guides anyway. They have to be a certain standard. It's obviously has to be done like that because they're leading a big group, and it's not like normally a tour, or if you're going for a ride out or like a test ride, a group test ride, you've always got one person at the front, one person at the back. But obviously with these, you've just got literally one person that's having to do everything. So having to look after everybody, making sure all their needs are met, whether you've got special dietary requirements, whether you're wanting to ride with the group, not ride with the group. Just kind of, I mean, even Katrina was able to give us some different routes. Obviously on one of the days we quite fancied doing a detour to do John O'Groats, which we hadn't been to. So we did get some options to do that as well. So it wasn't strictly a tour that was set in stone. It was very customisable as well. So obviously having to do the briefings every night, making sure everybody was on track, it's obviously not an easy job. And Katrina was brilliant. She was a good laugh, really easy to get on with.
I think a bad tour guide can ruin your trip. She certainly added value to the trip, and she also, following your incident, you know, you can't fault her, Chris,
No.
and the way that they went about organising stuff while she was still trying to organise, 10 other people.
Yeah.
Because they were still actually en route to that destination, and she still had a job to do. But we'll come on to that.
She paid for our evening meal that night as well.
Yeah, which we only actually found that out last week.
Well, we just thought that it was sorted by Motorrad, but it's actually her that did that. So
thanks, Katrina. Let's just get on to the journey, shall we? So we left here, home, in the UK, south of England. We actually put the bikes in the trailer, as you'll see from episode 1. We had the dogs to deliver up to my parents up in Norfolk. So we drove from south of England up to Norfolk. We unloaded the bikes, we sorted the dogs out, we got changed, we packed the bikes, we then jumped on the bikes, and then we rode to Edinburgh. So it was a 570 mile trip on day 1, which was challenging, should we say. It was a long ass day in the car around the M25. That was hell. And then obviously heading north. Ironically, we got to literally the Scotch corner when you enter Scotland, and the bloody heavens opened. We would dry all the way from leaving home to then dealing with absolute torrential downpour.
Motorways aren't much fun anyway, but at least you can get on a motorway, stick it on cruise, and you can kind of relax a little bit. We decided that we wanted to do a bit more of the scenic route, obviously because we needed to, and it was beautiful. When we're riding, The mister likes me to ride in front because he's obviously constantly looking in his mirrors, keeping an eye on me. So if I'm in front, it's a lot easier for him. However, I didn't much enjoy that on the A68. And I don't know whether any of you have ridden it. It's a lovely road, very straight Roman road, but it's up and down, and so many blind crests. And I took off over the first one because I didn't actually realise, but they're quite scary because you're going and you don't know what's on the other side, and you don't know whether somebody's over. I mean, obviously drivers shouldn't really be overtaking on a blind crest, but you just don't know. So you're just like holding your breath, going over to making sure there's not a car stopped the other side or somebody overtaking or some obstacle in the road. So it was quite hair raising. We stopped on the way in a little town, had a coffee, regrouped, dried off a little bit, and then got wet.
Wet again. Yeah. We were doing all right until we got to Edinburgh, and then the cobbled streets. I didn't want to say to Sarah how slippery they were. I just kept saying to take it easy, but I'd put my feet down to test the cobbles, and it was literally like sheet ice. So I was very nervous at the thought of one of us actually dropping the bikes on that before we even started, but we got to the hotel and all was great. So we spent the first night in the Bonham up in Edinburgh. Beautiful hotel.
We arrived a day early.
So we arrived on Saturday.
Yeah, because we hadn't been to Edinburgh, so we just thought it'd be nice to spend a day doing a little bit of a tour.
Yeah.
Walking around Edinburgh.
Yeah, it was
and
actually.
Seeing the castle.
Yeah. And we went to Harmonium, which was a vegan, vegetarian. We saw it recommended to us from another channel, Kinging It. And it looked really good, so we thought we'd give it a go. So thanks for that, Craig and Amy. It worked.
Really nice.
Great grub. It is typical uni kind of environment.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? Yeah, it was nice.
Grungy, but
grungy.
Nice.
Yeah. We can mix in a grunge environment if we need to.
Trendy grunge. Yeah, then we had the intro, and then it was wheels rolling at 9 a.m. That was the thing every morning. So Katrina basically said, look, I'll be leaving at 9. If you want to come with me, be ready to leave at 9. If you want to do your own thing, do your own thing. So it was kind of a standing joke, wasn't it? Wheels rolling at 9 a.m. So I think we were ready a little bit before that. We were all quite keen to leave on the first day.
Yeah, get on the road.
So I think the first stop was quite a short stop from the hotel. So obviously we went out through Edinburgh, and then there was a quick kind of regroup and a stop quite close to
Knock Hill. Yeah.
So yeah, first day was done, and then we headed to Grandtown-on-Spey, Garth Hotel, and the meal wasn't included, but it was all organised. So we all sat together and ate, and Katrina organised quite an early table, which was quite good. I think we were all quite of the same.
We like an early night.
Yeah, we were all kind of quite right. Want to get there, changed, beer, food, bed. So I think we were all of this kind of the same opinion that we weren't kind of late night drinkers. So we're all kind of wanting to get there, eat, and then just get our heads down for the next day, because it was quite hard work. And obviously staying in different hotels every night, you kind of are a bit unsettled.
So when we left the Garth Hotel, our route took a slightly different turn, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, in the morning, I don't know why, but we were both tired from the night before. Neither of us had got a really good night's sleep, and we just decided to go back to the room because we'd taken some stuff down to the bike and we'd gone back to the room, and we were a little bit late in leaving. So wheels were rolling at 9, and I think we left the hotel about 5 past.
About 4:15, I think it was.
And then it was a gravel car park, which is absolutely fine, but then there was a Travis Perkins delivery, so that kind of blocked the exit, so we had to wait there for a bit and then get round, and it was just one of those days. It was drizzly. It was drizzly and then really full on rain.
On that, just very quickly, if we weren't on the tour, that we weren't due to be A to B, B to C, C to D, if we were at home or we were on our own vacation, we both said within 10 minutes of that day starting, we both agreed that we would probably have turned around and gone home. But the fact is that we did have a schedule and we did have places to be. So we kind of then just thought, right, let's just, pull our socks up, let's just get on with it, and let's just make our way to meet the guys at either the first, second, third, or even the last stop of the day. So just over to you.
Yeah, so it was about an hour into the journey. So it wasn't It wasn't first thing. About an hour in, the roads were a mixture again of roads, of main roads, and obviously we were following, both of us had the BMW sat nav, so we both had the GPX files and were following the route. And then, yeah, there was a moment where I was avoiding some debris on the road, or gravel, not quite concentrating, left the road, tried to get back on the road, but unfortunately there was a big pothole. There was a barbed wire fence to my left and a road to my right, and unfortunately it was an accident. That's why it's called an accident. But that road is, our BMW were fantastic, the recovery and everything, but the recovery people from Inverness said that road is renowned for accidents. The guy behind us that kindly stopped and blocked the road for traffic, he said there was a lot of gravel on the road and that it was a dangerous road. So I'm not saying that it was because of that, but I think all those factors added together, and it was just one of those things. But at the end of the day, I wasn't hurt. My bike was really badly damaged, so there was a lot of people saying, oh, you could have got back on it and ridden it. There's actually £10,000 worth of damage.
Nearly 11. I would say actually 99.9% of the comments have been heartfelt. We've been overwhelmed by some of the comments, some of the well wishes, some of the people that understand, that have been in the same boat or have known people that have done the same thing. One guy in particular said that he's been riding over 50 years, he's done best part of 300,000 miles, and he had, ironically, a few years ago, almost identical accident in almost the same area, and he couldn't believe the condition of the edge of the roads up there, and he was very understanding and was also almost apologetic for some of the stuff that we've had from other people. So, you know, accidents do happen, like Sarah's just said. The fact of what actually happened and how it happened, in some respects, is kind of irrelevant. We've all been there. We've all had tumbles. So we thank you for your comments.
Yeah, no, if I was Joey Evans, that bike had been, I'd have been on it within 2 seconds and riding off, but yeah. I'm not Joey Evans, so no. Sorry. The rucker suit that I've got is trashed, but it protected me really well. And other people saying I should have replaced the helmet. My head didn't actually touch the ground, so the helmet wasn't touched at all. But I do need a new suit. But then saying that, at ABR the other weekend, I had a small off on my Honda, and I'm covered in bruises, but I wasn't actually bruised at all. Yeah. My neck was a bit stiff. Yeah.
So if you've got any recommendations on riding gear that's as good, if not better, than rucker, then we're open to suggestions, because we're currently looking at our 2023 touring kit. Anyway, that's the accident out of the way. If you've got any questions about that, please comment below and we will come back to you. We didn't get to Port Skera, which is where we were heading that day. So we ended up, well, actually, the problem went from bad to, or not worse, but went from worse to bad to then back to okay again, because when we then loaded my bike up, we then got the rear strut fault. Yeah, it just turned out to be that the bikes are very clever in the fact that they know and they recognise what's on the bike and how it's being used. We then went from me with my gear to then all of a sudden two of us with all the gear. I didn't change any of the dampening on the suspension, so partly my fault.
Well, you thought it was automatic, didn't you?
Yeah, it's ESA, which is electronic stability adjustment or whatever it does. So it's supposed to do it automatically, but there are a couple of little tweaks that you're supposed to do on the left handlebar. I didn't do that. The bike then went into Wally mode, which then made us redirect our route yet again to go to BMW Inverness, which, by the way, massive shout out to them. So that got fixed, that got resolved. The bike was handling like a blancmange, and you know, I knew that they were saying a fault, but sometimes you get a fault but you don't actually feel any difference. But at this point the bike was unrideable. Thankfully they got us fixed and on the road within about an hour and a half. So we then decided, and so we were going to stay in Inverness because we weren't quite sure what the bike was going to be doing. We didn't know whether it needed to stay in for a few days. So we cancelled the hotel that we were supposed to stay in Gairloch, which we were directing to to then cancel that to then stay in Inverness. The bike then got fixed, so that we then changed our plans to then go to Gairloch again, which was where everyone was going to be coming to join us the following night. So that would have been technically the third night.
Yeah, I mean, we did look at maybe trying to meet up with them in Portskerra and just trying to catch up, but I think the problem was obviously the accident delayed us, and then the fault delayed us. We were just too far behind to catch up, and obviously that would have been more pressure on you, because we did look at it. Okay, can we go main road to Portskerra rather than doing all the scenic stuff and just head straight there? But there wasn't really an easy option from Inverness, was there?
No.
It was just made more sense. So we did miss out a lot of the tour, but it just means that we've got to go again, and we wanted to do John O'Groats anyway.
Yeah, so we've got some unfinished business up there. So we went to Gairloch. We took a day off the next day. We were going to have some ride outs and just do some local riding around Gairloch. We were going to potentially go and do Applecross, but the weather wasn't on our side again, so we just and Sarah was still a little bit, I wouldn't say knocked about, but you were certainly quite tense and your neck was a bit sore, and there was just it was a good opportunity to take a day off. We went for a nice walk around Gairloch, had a nice bit of lunch down at the harbour, and just generally had a little bit of a kickback, which was a very welcome break.
Yeah, so they got to the hotel quite late. I think it was quite a long day to get up to Portskerra. And I think it was quite a long day to get from Portskerra to Gairloch, and there were some quite twisty roads. I think that was quite challenging for the group, so they're all very tired. And yeah, they came in, and first thing they did was check that we were okay.
So anyway, we went from there the next day. So we had a nice evening meal.
Yeah, caught up with them on their
adventures.
On their adventures.
Yeah, and they kindly told us about all the amazing stuff that we missed out on, but it's one of them things. Hence, we will be going back. Lovely meal again that night.
Yeah. Then it was Gairloch to the Isle of Skye, and we were supposed to be doing Applecross Pass that day, but again it was just
chucking a hoonie.
I don't think that it was as foggy or misty the day before, but when we went past the Applecross Pass, literally halfway up the mountain was just cloud. So we wouldn't have seen anything. It would have been really dangerous. So yeah, we haven't done that, so that's definitely on it.
It was a unanimous vote, wasn't it? It wasn't a case of one person said we're not doing it, everyone went, that just looks too dangerous. So
yeah, that was Gairloch to the Isle of Skye, and Isle of Skye was very pretty, but it was raining pretty much non-stop that day. Drizzling, raining. So yeah, the Isle of Skye was very pretty, so we just headed straight to the hotel, and it cleared up actually when we got to the hotel, and then 5 of us decided, let's go for a ride. Let's do a west loop of the Isle of Skye. Yeah, that was my poor decision. Well, Sandy wanted to go and see the other castle that was on the west coast, and we were like, yeah, okay, we're up for that. And 5 of us left, and we'd only been gone 15 minutes, not even that. And then all of a sudden the rain started coming down. There was a horrendous car accident that should have been pretty much an early sign for us to say, look, let's just go back. But like idiots, we carried on. It was really windy as well. No, it was honestly, it was horrendous. So we had a lovely evening in the hotel in the Isle of Skye, and then the following morning we were up bright and early, and this was actually probably one of our best days. Weather was on our side. Everyone was in remarkably high spirits. We'd kind of recalibrated ourselves to be able to ride 2 up with everything, and we were starting to really enjoy it again like we used to years ago before Sarah started to ride herself. By the way, she didn't only pass her test and buy a bike 3 days before her accident. She has been riding for years with no spills or mishaps or near misses. So yeah, we went from there. We had 2 ferries to catch, so we were up and out early this morning, weren't we? We had to be up and out at, I think, was it 7:30 wheels were rolling, or 8 o'clock? No, it was early. We had the ferry at like 8:30 in the morning or something. Yeah, and I think it's about 45 minutes to the ferry, so I think we left about 7:45. Yeah. But it was the bigger ferry off the island. We could have taken and gone on the bridge later, which we took on the way over. But then there'd have been a massive detour the other side. So, yeah. And we'd done the bridge to get on, so it was nice to try the ferry. Oh, that's when we saw all the trials bikes. So I think we put the drone up and did some footage of the bikes coming past. Yeah, yeah. And then obviously we had to play catch up. So they're all then waiting for the second ferry, and we kind of just joined them and got straight on. Yeah. But that was kind of literally just 5 minutes, wasn't it? It wasn't.
Yeah, we didn't really need to even get off the bike.
And then that was our evening was in Inverary, George Hotel.
Yeah.
Again, I think Katrina had booked us a quite an early evening meal, which was nice.
3 o'clock. bed by 5.
But that was good. I mean, I think the problem was, though, we didn't do very much exploring in the evenings on the places that we stopped. But the town that we drove through Inverary, didn't we? On the road through Inverary, and that looked quite pretty.
I think that's one thing that's actually quite relevant, is that when we go and do this on our own, we would do a slightly different, we'd get to a hotel at like 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon, get washed, changed, and then go out, maybe have a stroll around and probably eat out of the hotel. I think because we were in the group and we were having kind of group meals, it kind of set the scene that by the time you go out and have a mooch about, there's nothing worse than finding a restaurant and you think, oh, this would be really nice to eat here, but we can't because we've got a group meal with everyone tonight. So it's not a downside to it. It's just something to consider, that when you're in a group environment, that you don't tend to have that kind of freedom to go and do what you want of an evening.
Yeah, I mean, most days were long days as well. We didn't kind of get to the hotel till fairly late. Skye, we got there quite early, but that's because we kind of concentrated to get there. But I think when the guys went to Portskerra, which we missed, I think that was a really long day and they didn't get to the hotel quite late.
Yeah, they all looked pretty shattered.
That was kind of, most of the hotels were quite, not in isolated areas, but a lot of them, there weren't a lot else to go out and eat. So I think that's why they'd organised these hotels, that the room, and it was really easy checking in as well. Literally, we just said our names, handed the room key. You didn't have to go through all the rigmarole of filling out the forms or handing over your card or anything. So the check-in and check-outs were really easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we'd have done it quite a little bit differently. But on a group situation, it was very well organised. So evening meal done and dusted, and then off to bed. And then obviously left the George. We left a little bit early from the George again because where there's the Castle Stalker, there was a really nice coffee stop there. So I think we stopped there on the way to Inverary, and then on the way back we stopped there. You got the drone up and we did a bit of GoPro footage of the bikes coming in. And it's not a question of we didn't obviously want to ride with the group. We just wanted to do a bit of filming, and what you don't want to do is hold everybody up. So we either went ahead or then stopped and then played catch up. So we did ride with them quite a lot, but there were times. Yeah,
and on that, I mean, we did have a certain individual that was being quite derogatory about the fact that, oh, it's great this, isn't it? How pissed off would you be if you spent all this money to go on a tour and you've got idiots like you filming you putting you all over your YouTube channel? Well, we made everybody aware that we've got a channel. We made everybody aware that we will be filming. And the fact that we shared photographs with people, and we've done some quite nice drone footage of people that not necessarily, and all of this stuff hasn't actually gone on to the videos that you've seen. So we've shared stuff privately with the group of people, and from what we understand is that they were extremely grateful for it, because I think Sarah at one point said, how often do you actually get a picture of you on your bike riding, and get that kind of photograph or that kind of cinematography? 9 times out of 10 it's either you taking a picture of your bike or someone taking a picture of you standing with your bike. So
if people hadn't wanted to be filmed, we wouldn't have filmed them, or wouldn't put them in the film. But
no,
I think everybody was quite happy about it. And then on the last day as well, we did a bit of footage riding along, a bit of overtaking, because obviously some of the roads, they were...
You could see for miles.
Yeah, and Katrina obviously was also aware of what we were doing, so we didn't do anything without discussing it with Katrina. She knew what we were doing, and she just said, well, she'd slow the group up as they were coming into Castle Stalker, and then we said we wanted to kind of overtake and do kind of a video of going past people, and she's just said, well, I'll just hold them up a little bit and go a bit slower. So it was all done properly, and we weren't kind of recklessly filming or anything. But
oh no, we were. I mean, we were riding up curbs. We knocked over a couple of pedestrians. There was a poor chap in a wheelchair that we knocked over. We did go out of our way to
rode a couple of people off the road.
Yeah, we done everything in our powers to make sure that we upset as many people as we possibly could on this trip. Much to some of your satisfaction. So any comments, you know, we welcome all your comments, and we take most of it on board, and we would like to know what you ride, what sort of distance you do on that bike, and if you would recommend it as an alternative to the GS and the GSA. So yeah, we hope you enjoyed this series, and we certainly hope that you are subscribing and clicking the bell icon to be notified when new content is up. We're doing our utmost to make sure that we're putting something new up every Sunday. It's very difficult, filming, editing, getting everything right, getting it all, you know, scheduled. It doesn't help that where we live, unfortunately, we've got pretty crap internet, so uploading can take sometimes 6 or 7 hours. But you know, we're doing everything to keep the channel, you know, with a pulse, and making sure that we're putting content out there that we're hoping you enjoy. So if you do, please give us a like and a subscribe. Peace out.
Bye.